guys, I'm Danny Mosca, otherwise known as Psycadillo, and today I thought I would give a breakdown of one of the cosplays that I'm most well known for, which is Wonder Woman. So we're just going to give a full breakdown on the costume itself, how it was made, and how everything kind of fits together. So let's just jump right in. So I made this costume based off the 2017 standalone Wonder Woman movie. There's quite a few differences in that movie versus the Wonder Woman 1984. The suit is a lot duller, it's a lot more gritty than the 1984 version, but that's the version that I fell in love with, and that's kind of where my love for Wonder Woman escalated, because I was always a fan before growing up, but seeing Gal Gadot on the big screen as Wonder Woman kind of escalated the love that I had. And as soon as I saw almost a Roman-influenced armor set, I knew I had to make it. The entire suit itself is made out of EVA foam, including the skirt, which a lot of people seem to think is fake leather, but it is actually a form of foam that was pre-textured, and I was lucky enough to find this at my local fabric store. But everything is solid and everything is rigid. The base of the breastplate itself is composed of 5mm EVA foam, and all the texturing is individual pieces of 2mm foam. A lot of people don't realize this, and a lot of people don't seem to put this into the cosplays that they make, but Wonder Woman's suit actually is completely textured. Nothing of hers is completely smooth, and that's one of the things that I love most about this costume, because it has so much detail work that you just don't realize. So I went in with an anti-cutter or a box cutter and kind of scored marks along every single aspect of this breastplate. And in my weathering process, it kind of just helped this detail stand out and set it apart from another Wonder Woman cosplay that I made a while ago, which I will show. But the breastplate itself has a ton of layers. I think in total there's maybe 8mm worth of detail, and that's just stacking of 2mm, one on top of the other. One of my favorite parts of this breastplate is composed to the old one that I did, was how I actually get in and out of this. I wanted to create a breastplate that was completely, or as close as possible, just to be seamless when wearing, so people couldn't quite figure out how I got in and out of it, similar to how Gal Gadot's suit looks like. So most people tend to lace up the back. I wanted all of this back detailing in place. It's something that I really enjoyed about the movie, and it's little details like this that are partially covered by the belting, but that I really enjoyed. So I didn't want to destroy that or compromise that in order to get in and out of the costume. So I actually decided to make a side closure using Velcro, and I tried some magnets, didn't quite work. So you won't be able to see most of it because of the belting, but the side pieces actually detach completely, and that's how you get in and out. I try to make things unhook in different places to kind of hide that there would be a complete slit down the side. So these two pieces cover that slit there. It doesn't quite fit on my mannequin the same way as it fits on me. I'm a lot smaller, but these pieces come off completely, and around the back here, the skirt completely detaches. And that's how I kind of wiggle my way in and out of the suit. It's something that I would recommend a lot of Wonder Woman cosplayers should do, because it kind of adds to the mystery and the appeal as to how you get the costume on and how you wear it, just like Wonder Woman does. One of my favorite parts of the Wonder Woman costume, and I know I've said it a lot, but I have a lot of favorite parts of this costume of mine specifically, is actually the belting that Diana wears. This was a little bit of a struggle to figure out, especially for a newbie cosplayer, I will say, and it's actually also part of my original Wonder Woman costume. So I wanted this to once again appear as movie accurate as possible, and that was trying to figure out how everything wrapped around the costume, came up the back, how everything laid in place, and still making it in a way that would be easily disassembled and reassembled if need be at a convention, or even just getting dressed in general. So everything isn't permanent and fixed onto the costume itself. I'm not going to remove it because you're going to watch me struggle to put it back on, but there are actually press studs sitting under this little decorative piece, and I clip that in place. And if we go over to this side, the lasso holder sits connected once again with a press stud onto the skirt. The lasso holder itself also disassembles, and in order to figure out this piece and how I could get it on and off, it actually connects once again with a press stud onto here. And then going up this side, back to the front, once again, more press studs. So everything is super easy to get dressed by myself. I don't need anyone's help, and that's kind of what I aim for in a costume because I like to be self-reliant. This was the first Wonder Woman cosplay I made after watching the movie back in 2017, and it was actually the first armor cosplay I ever made. So while I'm not completely happy with it, I don't think I did too bad of a job. So there's a lot of things I'm not happy with this, and one of them is accuracy. I'm not sure if it's too noticeable on camera, but this section of the Golden Eagle portion of the top of the breastplate is a lot thicker on this one than it is on this one. And that's not movie accurate, and that's what I was striving for the entire time I made this. None of this is textured, and it's not movie accurate. So the colors are a lot brighter as well, which would technically fit the Wonder Woman 1984 look, but that's not what I was going for. Also, I didn't quite know how to weather a cosplay back then and battle damage it, so I went absolutely crazy with all of the battle damage that is on this thing. But mostly wasn't happy with the proportions of everything. Also, I had a very different way of getting in and out of this cosplay. So back then I couldn't figure out how to get in and out, so I opted to do what most Wonder Woman cosplays do, and there's nothing wrong with this at all, it's just not my preference. Instead of making a corset, I opted for using a zip. And because I didn't want the zip to be visible, and I didn't want to compromise the integrity of the back piece, which also isn't movie accurate, I decided to make a closure. I used magnets to close this, and I would get in and out. Once I was done, pop the magnets back on. And this little piece at the back, while I'm fighting this, was Velcroed on. When I wore this costume, the back piece, I don't know if you can see, it stuck out quite a bit, and it wasn't very flattering, so that was one of my best improvements that I made to this costume as opposed to this one. Another major upgrade on this costume was the implementation of abs. This is the first cosplay I ever made abs on, so in between the 5mm layers and the 2mm layers of foam, I actually sculpted some abs kind of growing up there, not very visible with this on. They kind of form a ridge up there that form the little ab pieces going down, little belly button area. But yeah, I wanted this costume to have a lot more dimension than the original one had. I didn't want it to look completely flat. Also, movie Wonder Woman does have abs on her costume, so I wanted it to look like as close as possible. And while I might have gone a little crazy on the abs, in photos they really do pop, so I'm super glad I included that. So the braces are actually the only things I kept from my original Wonder Woman costume, and I'm still quite happy with them to this day. Maybe at some point I will remake them, but I was happy with the weathering, the battle damage, as well as the texturing almost on this. I'm not sure how visible it is on camera, but the actual surface of the foam is warped. In the movie, Diana's braces of submission are actually slightly molded and kind of warped. Nothing is smooth, so I managed to get that through heat shaping. And I think that's one of the reasons I have some kind of emotional attachment to these. But yeah, pretty much just your standard bracer. They connect at the back, and for this I also just wanted closures that I could kind of hide, kind of make them blend in. So I actually have press studs. Not sure how visible these are on camera, but press studs close them like that, and the press studs sit on the side that the arms, I don't know, they sit on the innermost section of the arm basically is what I'm trying to say. So that kind of hides anything that might point out the fact that I'm wearing a costume. I just want to try and make the movie magic happen as much as I can. So I actually have a tutorial on how I made these and free patterns listed in another video of mine, so if you'd be interested, I would highly recommend you check that out. And I don't have it here with me right now, but Diana's tiara, I have that in the same tutorial and a pattern for that as well. And yeah, if you want more detail on how I made those and maybe a closer look at these, go check it out. Moving on to the leg pieces. These pieces were also kind of tricky to figure out because in my original costume, I had one solid piece on the leg, and that made it kind of hard to bend down and kneel down when taking pictures with kids or taking any action shots. So for this, I opted to make a piece that was completely flexible with the knee and the thigh piece. So it bends in 3 separate pieces. These pieces are actually some insider thing. These pieces are connected through some fake leather, and they kind of bend with the knee and any movement, any running that I cannot actually do in heels, but any running that I did want to do, I would be able to do. So these pieces are also made of 5mm foam with 2mm detailing stacked on top of that. Everything is textured as with the breastplate. The connections on this were done pretty much the same way that the braces were done, and that's through press studs and connections. So because this is a piece that endures a lot of movement, I needed something that would be able to flex and move with my leg. And also part of that was keeping it really tight against my leg, but not to the point where things would pop off. So getting in and out of it is seriously important. So just like the braces, I have a lot of press studs that are open and close. The top pieces have 2 press studs on to get that calf piece in. And just like the braces, the most important studs open up on the inside of the leg to kind of hide any closures that I might not want to see. So yeah, press studs are the way to go. Velcro is also a good option, but would highly recommend press studs if you're not doing any crazy action kind of things. And at the top, exactly the same, press studded in place. And this kind of keeps it under the knee kind of area. And this, very important, you do not want to make this too tight because it is bending with your leg. So if it is too tight, it will either pop off or it will rip this section off. So I would recommend making it a little looser than you would be comfortable with maybe. The shoes were a major upgrade from my first costume. For this one, I wanted kind of a movie accurate heel or wedge. Kind of insane that Wonder Woman runs around in heels as someone who doesn't usually wear heels, but they do complete the overall look of the costume. So I got a basic wedge heel, and because Wonder Woman has a lot of cutouts, which I don't know if a lot of people notice, she has a lot of cutouts in her shoes, I actually had to go custom make these and alter it. So base set of heels that I thrifted, and using a knife, I actually cut these little slots right out of the shoe itself. It actually went up a lot higher. I trimmed that, I sewed it down in place, and yeah, basically accessible using a zip at the side. And these little detail pieces make it seem like there's almost press studs there, but this is probably the one place that I have fake press studs in place. So it kind of looks like the armor opens and closes as I go. But yeah, I would highly recommend if you're making this costume to not skip out on the little windows that are in place in these shoes. They really do make the costume pop as small as they may seem. Well guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and yeah, thanks for sticking around and watching these kind of videos. Cosplay is one of my passions, and it's an absolute honor to be able to kind of show how I go about making these things and share my passion with a lot of other people. So I really appreciate all the support I've gotten and the support that I will continue to get, and yeah, thank you so much for watching and sticking around, and I'll see you in a future video.